Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Brandon, and welcome to Audio Addiction, where you can find latest album reviews, you can find our band interviews, and you can find live coverage of the concerts that we get. I was able to do a few interviews. Check those out if you get the chance to. We just recently did one with Emerosa, so check that one out. Really stoked on that one. Also, we're gonna be going to a few local shows. My Lonely Heart, Before the Streetlights, and Poeta. If you're familiar with this channel, you know all about that. So definitely check those out. As well as we're going to see Hail the Sun next Thursday in Philly, so definitely check that one out as well. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to get video of those bands. I will be more than willing to get them. I will probably actually get them anyway, regardless of whether I hear back. So, really stoked on that. So if you enjoy what we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure to hit that like button as well. It really does go a long way. And thank you for your support. I'd like to give a shout out to the girls in self-titled. Thank you guys for recommending Sammy to me. We just did an interview not too long ago, and that will be posted really soon, as well as obviously this review. So without further ado, we're going to be talking about Sammy Cannillo's new record, Interim. So, like I mentioned, the self-titled girls helped me out with this one, and Sammy wanted me to do a review of her album, so I felt more than obliged to do so. So, I'm going to go through each track, give you my thoughts on it, and I'll give you some pros and cons, and just the overall rating of the entire record. So, we'll get into the first track, which is I'm Not There Yet. It has this cool sort of intro to a very electronically based. It has this sort of ambient, spacey sort of vibes to it, at least in my opinion. And it definitely kind of opens up, the album, and it kind of gives you an idea of what you're going to expect. I mean, not within, I wouldn't say exactly, but it will give you kind of a general idea of how it's going to go about, how it will sound, and just, what you're in for. So, we're going to move it into track number 2, which is No Saint. This is one of my favorite tracks off the record. Really enjoying that sort of cool synth intro slash opening. This song definitely reminds me a lot of Light, the female artist. She's really awesome as well, but definitely has those sort of vibes of Lights or like Tegan and Sara, those sort of indie indie electronic or indie kind of artists. Definitely has that in that sort of vein. Also enjoying Sammy's vocals. I just like her tonality of her voice. It's really solid. Also, I like just the vocal layering that she adds as well. I feel like it has a sort of cool back and forth effect to the track, which is really solid. I also feel like, again, with the electronics, it kind of adds an interesting sound to an already good track already. I definitely feel like it adds a little bit more depth. It adds a little bit more ambience to the track, which I really enjoy as well. I think it's definitely a solid addition to this track. And I also enjoy that cool sort of synthy-esque breakdown in the bridge. I think that's a really cool sort of interesting vibe, and it definitely got me hyped for this song. So we're gonna move it into track number 3, which is Tell Yourself. This has this cool sort of spoken word part, and a few different parts of the verses and things of that nature. And I also feel like it just adds another dimension to her vocals, just and to the track in general, and it just has this sort of vocal diversity that you would expect from something like this. I also like the contrasting vocals in the chorus. I feel like at some points, especially listening to it initially, I felt like they contrasted a little bit. But I definitely feel like after a bit, I definitely got into the mood, got into the swing and things, and I really enjoyed it. Had this sort of uniqueness to it, that I think is really solid to point out. Also, I just definitely enjoy the sort of chill and mellow vibes. I like that the track can just speak for itself. It doesn't have to go over the top. It's very just, you know, not in your face whatsoever, and it just has this sort of just vibes that you can just go with. So, and I also think that this is an interesting point to point out so far is that a lot of these tracks, are more, I guess, electronically based, and then the guitars kind of have that sort of accent piece, which is usually, in my opinion, the other way around, where the electronic parts are kind of more the accent piece, and the guitars are more at the forefront. So, in that regard, I feel like that's definitely something interesting that I typically don't hear. And just that's just because I listen to like heavier stuff, or they don't even have like electronic elements in their music. So I definitely feel like that's kind of like an interesting little tidbit, at least in my opinion, that I could pick out. So we're gonna move into track number 4, which is Valencia. This one is also one of my favorite tracks off the record. In comparison to maybe like Tell Yourself and No Saint, that have those sort of like more mellow and sort of chiller vibes. This one has more upbeat, sort of happier vibes to it, which I really enjoy. I think it's something just unique to this track. I definitely like that in comparison to the other tracks. This one's a little bit more stripped back. It feels a little bit more natural. It feels like something that you would hear her do live. Not saying that the other she couldn't, but I just feel like to me this feels like a little bit more natural in just its variety, which I really enjoy. I also enjoy just the timbre of her voice, like the way she carries it throughout this track. I think it's really solid. And I'm just a big fan of just those sort of like more stripped back tracks where it's not like in your face, and it's not like too much. Like it just very much stripped down, bare bones sort of track. So, in that regard, I definitely enjoy this one. So we're gonna move into track number 5, which is Lately I've Been Skeptical. I'm liking this sort of slower sort of intro. It has this softer sort of tenderness to it that the other tracks I would say don't have too much. This one seems a little bit more, just more of a slower track. And I definitely feel like it shows a little bit more emotion in Sam's voice, and just how she carries it. And I definitely feel like it's a nice addition. I like when, especially artists, solo artists themselves, just have that sort of emotional pull, that I feel like if you're in a band, you have a little bit less. I wouldn't say you have less, but it's definitely a different comparison between the two. And I definitely feel like the lead parts in the chorus were just a nice little addition to the track. And I feel like they just add this sort of overall ambience and just depth to this track, which I really enjoy. So I just feel like to me, it's just those sort of tenderer songs I kind of lean to. So we're gonna move into track number 6, which is "Sorry Johnny, You'll Never Be an Astronaut." This one is another one of my favorite tracks. I'm also enjoying the change of pace with just the acoustic guitar. I know that the other songs have kind of acoustic guitars in it, but I feel like this one is just a little bit more at the forefront. I feel like the addition of horns are really cool and just a nice little touch into this track. I just feel like it adds just another dimension to this track as well. I definitely feel like it's one of the stronger tracks off the record, in my opinion. Really loving the chorus a lot in this one, and then vocally, I feel like this is one of my favorite tracks as well. I just feel like it combines well with all of the elements in this track, instrumentally, or just with the horns, or just both of them together. I feel like it just meshes very well together, and I feel like this one is one of the more strongly constructed tracks, in my opinion. So we're gonna move into track number 7, which is Ink Master. I like that she included the ukulele. I think that is just a nice little inclusion. It has some cute little antidotes. This has a little bit more of that, like I said, spoken word parts, and it's just like a fun little interlude sort of track. I thought it was definitely interesting in that regard. So I think it was a solid track. Not much to speak on, but I think it was a good one nonetheless. So we're gonna move into the last track, track number 8, which is 440. This one is one of my favorite tracks as well. Really liking the sort of ambient layers in the background, and just with the vocals and instruments at the forefront of this track. I think that that was definitely interesting and just a cool little approach to this one. Vocally, this one also is one of my favorites as well. It just has this sort of tug and just emotional pull to it, that I just really liked, and that's what I felt in this track. I'm definitely liking the vocal and guitar combo. I feel like that's just kind of a tried and true thing in my opinion. And then there's just the dual vocals are really solid as well. Like I said, with the back and forth of the layering of the vocals. I feel like she has that sort of cool play with both of those. Definitely liking the more stripped back tracks, like I've been mentioning. There was this cool little guitar solo in the midst of this track as well. And I definitely feel like it's a great track to end the record out with. Kind of summarizes the overall sound that at least I think Sam was aiming for. And overall, I think it was just definitely a solid record. So, my pros and cons, I definitely feel like there were some tracks that fell through for me. I definitely like this small little antidotes that she had in tracks like Ink Master or a few other tracks. I'm not there yet. I really doesn't have any vocals, but just those sort of small little touches here and there, I really enjoyed that. Vocally and just instrumentally, I definitely feel like it's quite on the spectrum. There's anything from, like, in my opinion, kind of like folksy, sort of indie singer-songwriter sort of stuff. And then there's stuff like No Saint, where it has more electronic elements and feels more like Lights or like Tegan and Sara. So I definitely feel like there's a nice balance in between just that indie spectrum. I definitely feel like she was aiming for that, and I definitely feel like she nailed it in that regard. This is something I typically don't listen to. Not that I don't like it, it's just something that I don't gravitate towards on a regular. But I definitely feel like this is a solid record. If I didn't know about it, definitely feel like I would have been stoked to stumbled upon it. So in that regard, I feel like it's really solid. I'm really excited to see what she does next. But I definitely feel like it's no knock to be like, oh well, it's not my genre, so I'm not feeling it. I definitely feel like just musically it sounds really awesome. There are some really great elements that she included in, like, again, electronic parts. But I definitely have gravitated more towards those singer songwritery sort of just those sorts of tracks, those sort of tracks like Valencia, tracks like Sorry Johnny, You'll Never Be an Astronaut, or like 440. Those tracks definitely got me going, and those were the tracks that I really enjoyed. So my overall rating for Sammy Cannillo's Interim, I'm going to be giving it an 8.7 out of 10. I definitely feel like you should go support her, go check out her music. I didn't check out the previous record, which I will try to check out in the foreseeable future. But I'm definitely stoked to see the progression of her and just her music in general. I think this is a great sort of starting point and stepping stone. So if you can go support her, go do so. I don't know if she has like merch or anything yet, but I would be certainly willing to grab something along the lines if she does. So I'll leave all of her social media in the description. Make sure to go check her out. Go to check out her interview that we'll be posting in a couple weeks. So definitely be on the lookout for that. So let me know in the comments if you've checked this out. If you haven't, go check it out. Go come into the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. And I'd certainly like to know, your feelings on it. That would be definitely sick to find out and just sick to hear. So, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure to hit that like button as well. And if you enjoy us a lot, we have a merch store where you can pick up some sweet Audio Addiction merch. We have some really cool news to be announcing probably next week. If not, maybe this week. We'll see. But definitely next week. Really, really pumped to share this with you. Probably like the biggest thing we've done yet. So definitely be on the lookout for news from that. And thank you to Sammy for sending me her record over. It was a pleasure checking it out. So my name is Brandon. We hope you got your fix, and we'll be talking with you soon. Peace. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.